97% of men over 50 miss the exact moment a woman begins to flirt with them. Not because they are blind, slow, or out of touch, but because the signals are no longer what they were decades ago. The dynamics of attraction evolve with time, and so do the ways women show interest. She is not going to grab your arm and giggle like a teenager, nor will she look you in the eye and announce, "I like you," or boldly invite you out for drinks. Instead, her approach is subtle, careful, and quiet. She will ask a question, a soft question, casual in tone, harmless on the surface, yet it quietly opens a door. If you fail to step through that door, it closes just as silently as it appeared, leaving only what you assume was a friendly conversation. And in that missed moment lies the secret to the disconnect so many men experience. She walks away thinking, "Well, I guess he's not interested," while you remain oblivious, convinced nothing more was implied. These questions, sideways glances, and curious little probes are tests of attention, perception, and presence, crafted to reveal not just your awareness, but your emotional aliveness. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to break down 8 of the most subtle questions women ask when they are interested but careful, uncertain, or respectful enough to avoid stating it directly. You'll learn not just what she is asking, but why it matters and how to answer in a way that communicates confidence, calmness, and authenticity. After 50, men don't need to try harder. They need to notice more. Once you do, politeness transforms into warmth. Small talk reveals genuine curiosity, and what once seemed invisible begins to shine with adult attraction. Let's begin with the first question. On the surface, it seems simple, almost playful. How old are you really? But there's a depth behind that seemingly innocent inquiry. When a woman adds the small word really, she is not asking for a number. She already knows your age. She isn't playing a guessing game. What she is looking for is a reflection of your comfort in your own skin, your relationship with your past, and the energy you carry in the present. How you respond communicates more than your age. It communicates whether you are weighed down by time or embrace it as a marker of experience and wisdom. If you flinch, joke, or dodge the question, she notices immediately. She smiles politely, maybe even laughs, but the energy subtly shifts. The men who stand out at this stage are those who carry age with grace, presence, and a sense of vitality, not the ones who try to look younger or hide behind clever lines. Responses like, "old enough to know what matters and young enough to still enjoy the ride," or even, "you want my age or my attitude," convey self-assurance, presence, and a life fully owned. Take Rick, for example. He was 64, divorced, silver-haired, and sharply dressed. At a downtown jazz lounge, he engaged with a woman in her late 40s or early 50s, elegant, smart, and clearly interested. After a light conversation, she leaned in and asked, "So, how old are you really?" Trying to be witty, Rick responded, "Too old for you?" She laughed, but not with the spark he hoped for. He felt the connection falter instantly. Later, he realized he hadn't just dodged a number. He dodged the moment itself. Most men do the same. These questions are invitations, subtle tests of confidence, curiosity, and presence. When answered with self-doubt or humor that undercuts your confidence, women sense it immediately. It's not about age. It's about aliveness, vitality, and the sense that you're fully present in your own life, not apologizing for the years you've lived. Understanding this subtlety can transform ordinary conversations into meaningful openings, revealing interest where previously you saw none. Another question that often catches men off guard is, "Why aren't you married?" At first, it can feel personal, intrusive, even judgmental. Yet, when asked gently and with curiosity, it is rarely about prying into your history. It's a window into your current emotional availability. She isn't asking to catalog heartbreak or failures. She's asking whether you are open, present, and ready for something meaningful now. Many men stumble here. Some launch into long explanations of divorces, heartbreaks, or past disappointments. Others respond defensively, brushing it off with a bitter laugh. Marriage, tried it once, never again. Both reactions quietly close the door she has just nudged open. A better approach is calm, grounded honesty without oversharing or heaviness. Something like, life kept me busy, but I have space now for something real. Or even, I just haven't met the right woman yet. Maybe until now conveys availability, confidence, and quiet intrigue. Consider Gerald, 67, widowed young, a quiet man who worked with his hands. In a community garden, he struck up a conversation about tomatoes with a woman in her 50s. Eventually, she asked, "So, how come a man like you isn't married?" Gerald froze, offered a stiff answer, and quickly shifted the topic. A week later, she stopped coming to the garden. Reflecting on it, he realized she was signaling interest, opening a window for connection, and he had unknowingly stepped back. These moments are subtle, quiet, and easy to miss. Women test the waters without fully immersing themselves, seeking safety before vulnerability. If your response carries bitterness, defensiveness, or detachment, the opportunity quietly disappears. If your response is calm, grounded, and lightly warm, you communicate presence, openness, and readiness, signaling that you are fully in the game and receptive to what might follow. Understanding this unspoken language is key to noticing and responding to adult attraction with confidence. Do you date younger women? This question catches many men off balance, and it is easy to misread. Some take it as a compliment, swelling with pride at the implied interest. Others freeze, thinking it a trap, worried that their answer could reveal too much or misstep entirely. But the truth is, when a woman asks this, she is rarely concerned with your dating record. She is quietly testing your openness, wondering if you can see someone like her as more than just a companion or a friend. She wants to know if the connection happening in the present in this very conversation holds more weight than the numbers on a calendar. She is listening to your energy, your attention, the way you hold yourself, and her presence in your mind. It is not a challenge about age. It is a test of curiosity, respect, and subtle courage. Men often stumble in predictable ways. Some puff up and boast about younger partners as if attempting to prove vitality or desirability. Others retreat entirely, saying, "I'm way too old for you," shutting down the possibility before it has even begun. Both responses miss the subtlety of the moment. What she is truly asking is, could this lead somewhere? Do I have a chance? The optimal response is not about age, but about connection. Something simple, grounded, and reflective of your attention works best. I don't date by age, I date by energy and how we connect. Or, I care more about how a woman makes me feel than the year she was born. These answers show presence, openness, and a gentle curiosity, qualities that signal interest without desperation or overcompensation. Take Marcus, for example. At 59, well-dressed, with quick wit and a sharp mind, he met a woman in his favorite bookstore. She was in her mid-40s, bright-eyed, asking for a recommendation on a novel. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated with laughter and shared curiosity. At a nearby cafe, she leaned back and asked, "Do you usually date younger women?" Marcus paused, sensing the underlying invitation. With a calm smile, he said, "I like women who bring good energy. Younger or older doesn't matter much to me. What matters is that we click." That simple, grounded response changed everything. Her polite interest turned into genuine curiosity. A bookstore chat led to coffee, coffee led to dinner, and dinner led to a deeper connection. Presence, clarity, and attunement, not cleverness, opened the door. The magic of this question is subtle. Often it is about permission rather than inquiry. She wants to explore the possibility without making herself feel foolish or vulnerable. She is looking to see if you meet her halfway, if you can respond without judgment or defensiveness. Attraction at this stage of life is not about elaborate lines or theatrical gestures. It is about clear communication, warmth, and authenticity. When she asks about younger women, she has already nudged the door open. Your job is to notice it and step through confidently, Hesitation, misreading, or humor at the wrong moment can close that door forever, while the right answer encourages exploration, curiosity, and the possibility of real adult connection. Another question, deceptively casual, is, what kind of woman do you usually go for? This sounds like harmless curiosity, but it is far more meaningful than it appears. She is assessing whether she fits the mental picture you carry. Men often misinterpret it as a simple checklist exercise, rattling off traits: athletic, adventurous, tall, enjoys golf or travel, almost as if reading off a menu. But this misses the emotional and psychological subtext. She is observing not only your words, but the way you frame your desires. Are you chasing an image, or are you open to connection in its real, messy, beautiful form? Your answer tells her whether you have grown, whether you can appreciate a person for who they are, not merely as a collection of traits. A more thoughtful approach focuses on qualities that can be present in the woman before you. Traits like thoughtfulness, curiosity, humor, and resilience communicate openness, emotional intelligence, and alignment. For example, saying, "I like women who are thoughtful, curious, and able to laugh even when the day is hard," allows her to recognize herself if she feels a draw toward you. The moment becomes a subtle dance of recognition, signaling that she matters, that the conversation and connection are genuine, and that age or past experiences are secondary to presence and shared energy. She isn't checking boxes, she is quietly wondering if she could belong in your life. Consider Elliot, 62, a retired firefighter, steady and unassuming, who met a woman while volunteering. They worked side by side, painting a fence in the afternoon sun. The conversation was light, laughter flowing naturally, until she asked, "So, what kind of woman do you usually go for?" Elliot responded simply, without overthinking, "I guess I like someone calm, someone who makes a place feel peaceful just by being there." He didn't list a single physical trait. He spoke to essence, presence, and energy. She paused, listening, absorbing the weight of his words. That answer opened a door to curiosity and connection, a subtle invitation to continue exploring. Later that day, she stayed behind to help clean up. When he thanked her, she smiled softly and said, "I was hoping I was your type." That simple statement captures the essence of moments like this. When you answer with presence instead of performance, you create space for attraction to unfold naturally, without forcing it or overthinking. Psychologically, these seemingly casual questions act as forms of self-selection. She is quietly gathering clues, observing your energy, and deciding whether she should lean in or pull back. The way you respond can either confirm her interest or quietly close the door. These moments rarely announce themselves. They arrive gently, disguised as small talk, and the difference between noticing and missing them is subtle, yet profound. When a woman asks, "Are you always this charming?" it often comes with a smile or soft laugh. It sounds like a compliment, but beneath the surface, it carries weight. She is acknowledging the spark she feels and testing how you handle it. This is one of those rare moments when attraction becomes visible, palpable, and immediate. Many men pull back instinctively, brushing off the comment or making a joke. Something like, "Only on Tuesdays, guess I'm having a good day." And just like that, the energy fades. A better response stays light, grounded, and slightly playful. Something like, "Only when I'm around someone who brings it out in me," or "I save it for moments that matter," communicates presence, confidence, and attentiveness. It tells her, "I see you, I'm here, and I'm not afraid of this moment." That subtle signal encourages her to stay engaged rather than retreat. Alan, 68, a quiet widower, once shared a story about a dinner party. A woman leaned in and asked, "Are you always this charming, or is it just tonight?" He smiled, measured, and replied, "That depends. Are you always this curious, or am I just lucky?" The conversation shifted instantly. Her gaze lingered, and in that unspoken exchange, a doorway opened. This question is never about charm itself. It is about chemistry and connection. She is offering a low-pressure invitation to move beyond friendliness into deeper interest. Psychologically, it is a gentle probe, She is seeking signs that you can accept warmth without retreating into humor, ego, or defensiveness. Responding with grounded presence rather than cleverness keeps the spark alive. Similarly, when a woman asks, "Why don't you have a girlfriend?" It may seem simple, but it carries far more meaning. She is assessing whether there is room in your life for someone like her. She is not asking about schedules or routines. She is asking if you are emotionally available. Many men answer defensively, saying things like, "I'm set in my ways," "I like my freedom," or "relationships are too much trouble now." Each of these closes the door quietly, unintentionally signaling disinterest. A better answer creates space for possibility. Something like, "I've been waiting for something that feels real," or "I took my time, but I'm still open to being surprised," communicates availability, warmth, and intentionality. William, 71, calm and confident, once told me about an art gallery encounter. A woman asked him this very question. He paused, measured his words, and said, "I spent time learning how to be a better man. Now I'm ready for a better kind of love." Her eyes never left his after that. These interactions reveal a truth often overlooked. Women later in life are just as cautious and afraid of rejection as men. Instead of stating their feelings outright, they ask questions, gentle, brave, and subtly vulnerable questions. How you answer tells them whether it is safe to lean in, to explore, to be seen, or whether the safer choice is to pull back. Finally, consider the question, would you ever date someone like me? This is often the closest thing to a direct confession without actually stating it. There is vulnerability underneath the smile, an unspoken invitation to meet her halfway. Many men freeze at this moment, go neutral, or pivot the conversation elsewhere, and the woman quietly withdraws, feeling exposed. The best response is honest, grounded, and uncluttered by cleverness. Charlie, 66, a former military man, once described a walk at sunset when a woman asked him this. He paused and said simply, "Yes, I already am in my mind." She took his hand and didn't let go. These moments are not casual, they are quiet openings, doors being unlocked. And the real question is never what she asks, but whether you notice the opportunity and step forward when the moment arrives. The truth about these subtle interactions is that they exist in a space between words and energy, where presence matters more than performance. Women, especially after 50, rarely make their interest obvious because they have learned to protect themselves, to move carefully, and to signal subtly without risking rejection. Every sideways glance, playful question, or lightly teasing comment carries meaning beyond the literal words. When a man responds without awareness, he can unknowingly dismiss these openings, leaving attraction unrealized. But when he notices, when he answers with calm attention and genuine interest, the dynamic shifts immediately. The conversation becomes alive, intimate, and charged with possibility without needing grand gestures or forced charm. These moments are less about technique and more about energy. She is looking for someone who is grounded in his own life, who carries presence like a quiet strength, not someone chasing youth or validation. Her questions are tests of emotional awareness, curiosity, and the ability to stay engaged with warmth. When she asks about age, marital history, preferences, or whether you usually date younger women, the real inquiry is about aliveness and openness. She wants to know if you are capable of a connection that is authentic, mutual, and grown-up. She is gauging whether you can meet her halfway, whether you respond with clarity rather than defensiveness, presence rather than performance. In essence, she is asking, can you see me fully and without judgment as someone you might want to be with? Understanding this perspective changes everything. Most men over 50 have spent decades learning how to navigate the world through rules, appearances, or caution. And attraction often slips by because it does not follow the script they expect. The real signals are quiet, often disguised as ordinary conversation, yet loaded with meaning. Recognizing them requires slowing down, listening actively, and resisting the urge to perform or over-explain. It requires trusting your instincts, staying calm, and allowing the interaction to breathe. The men who succeed at this stage of life are not those with the flashiest lines or the most impressive resume. They are men who are fully present, confident in who they are, and able to respond in ways that reflect clarity, warmth, and genuine interest. Ultimately, these subtle questions are opportunities for connection, invitations disguised as small talk. They reveal a woman's interest without demanding vulnerability, allowing her to test the waters safely. The way you answer is not just about impressing her. It's about creating space for curiosity and attraction to flourish naturally. Responding with honesty, calm humor, attentiveness, and a light spark shows her that you are capable of engaging fully, without pressure, without pretense. In these exchanges, age, past experience, or external circumstances matter far less than presence, energy, and emotional availability. Every small interaction, every sideways glance, every playful question becomes a doorway. Not noticing them may mean missing connection. Stepping through them allows authentic adult attraction to emerge effortlessly. These dynamics remind us that attraction after 50 is less about chasing and more about noticing. Women are not testing your resume, your past, or your ability to impress. They are observing whether you can be present, responsive, and alive in the moment. Their questions are gentle invitations to reveal yourself honestly, to show confidence without arrogance, curiosity without intrusion, and warmth without desperation. And when you answer in this way, the subtle dance of attraction turns into real connection. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, and moments that might have slipped by unnoticed are transformed into opportunities for intimacy, mutual respect, and the kind of adult romance that feels effortless because it is rooted in awareness, presence, and shared human curiosity. Once a man begins to see through this lens, he notices patterns that once seemed invisible. Sideways glances, small smiles, casual questions, lingering touches. These are all part of a quiet language of interest. He understands that what might seem like small talk is actually an assessment, a gentle test of compatibility and openness. Responding with grounded attention, honesty, and warmth signals that he is fully in the game, ready for connection, and capable of meeting curiosity with curiosity. It transforms ordinary conversations into the subtle, meaningful flirtations that define adult attraction after 50, creating possibilities that are rich, layered, and emotionally satisfying in ways that are impossible to achieve through performance or bravado. When this awareness becomes natural, men stop seeing interactions as puzzles to solve or challenges to overcome. Instead, they become living conversations, evolving in real time, guided by presence and attentiveness. They learn that the right answer is rarely about cleverness or wit. It is about resonance, emotional attunement, and the ability to stay fully engaged without fear. Women notice this, respond to it, and reward it with continued openness, warmth, and subtle invitation. In essence, the process of noticing, responding, and stepping fully into the moment allows adult men and women to create meaningful connections that feel authentic, balanced, and alive. It is a reminder that true attraction is as much about awareness as it is about desire, and that the quiet doors opened by these gentle questions can lead to profound connection if we have the courage to step through them. This understanding reframes dating and attraction entirely. Instead of chasing signals or trying to impress, men focus on noticing, responding, and inhabiting their own presence. They learn that subtle questions are not traps, but invitations, and the smallest moments can reveal the greatest opportunities. Each interaction becomes a chance to demonstrate attentiveness, warmth, and confidence without performing or over-explaining. By embracing this approach, men not only become more attractive, they also cultivate interactions that are authentic, respectful, and emotionally rich, creating a space where meaningful adult relationships can emerge naturally, gracefully and without the awkwardness or confusion that often marks interactions in earlier stages of life. These moments are subtle, but they carry enormous weight because they test more than what you say. They test who you are in the moment. When a woman asks a question like, "Do you date younger women?" or "Are you always this charming?" she is essentially asking if you are alive, attentive, and capable of engaging without pretense. She wants to see if you can handle warmth, interest, and curiosity without panicking, overthinking, or retreating behind humor. Many men misinterpret these questions because they hear only the words, not the energy behind them. The challenge is to recognize that the moment itself, the interaction, and the connection you feel in real time matter far more than the literal question. Attraction at this stage of life is about subtlety and timing. Women rarely announce interest outright because they are cautious, seasoned, and protective of their emotions. They want to test compatibility without vulnerability, to feel the rhythm of a man's energy before deciding whether to lean in. This is why questions are so often disguised as casual curiosity. She may ask about your age, your marital status, or your dating history, but underneath it all, she is asking if you are approachable, open, and capable of a real connection. The best responses are grounded in presence, calm confidence, and attentiveness. Humor can be effective, but only when it does not deflect or diminish the moment. Presence over performance is the key. A man who has mastered this approach learns to listen not just for words, but for intention. He notices the glances, the tone, the rhythm of the conversation, and the small gestures that hint at interest. He recognizes that an offhand question is rarely about facts. It is about emotional alignment. She is testing whether she feels safe, whether she is seen, whether the connection can grow naturally. When answered correctly, these small openings become doors to intimacy and attraction. When ignored or dismissed, the opportunity passes silently, leaving both parties unaware of what could have been. Mastery here is not about clever lines, but about attunement and the ability to stay present in each fleeting moment. Another critical element is emotional availability. Women are evaluating whether the man they are speaking to has the capacity for openness, warmth, and presence. Questions like, "Why don't you have a girlfriend?" or "Would you ever date someone like me?" are probes into this territory. They are not judgments. They are invitations to show alignment. The best responses communicate readiness for connection without desperation or overcomplication. Phrases like, "I'm still open to being surprised," or "I'm ready for something meaningful," convey both confidence and curiosity. They demonstrate a man who has lived, grown, and arrived at a point where he can fully engage without fear or ego. This approach is revolutionary for many men over 50 because it reframes the entire process of dating and attraction. It shifts focus from performance, persuasion, and impressing to noticing, responding, and being present. It teaches that small moments matter and that subtle openings carry the weight of opportunity. It also teaches that women, even later in life, are just as cautious and thoughtful about attraction as they ever were. They are simply more practiced at testing, observing, and signaling quietly. Recognizing this subtle language allows men to respond appropriately and, more importantly, to connect authentically without guessing or overthinking. Every subtle question she asks is, in essence, a way of gauging safety. She is testing whether she can reveal herself, whether she can explore the possibility of connection without risking embarrassment or rejection. It is a quiet form of bravery, a gentle experiment. The woman wants to see how you handle curiosity, interest, and warmth. If you respond with presence, clarity, and calm confidence, the energy between you grows. If you respond with avoidance, defensiveness, or humor that deflects, the moment is lost, often without either of you fully realizing it. This is why so many men over 50 report missing signals. They are listening for words, not for energy, intention, and emotional nuance. When a woman asks about your age, your dating history, or your type, she is not seeking a factual answer. She is observing how you inhabit your own life, whether you carry your experiences with confidence, and whether you can engage without fear or hesitation. Every response is a signal. A man who responds with self-assurance, curiosity, and light warmth demonstrates that he is capable of holding space for connection. A man who responds with jokes, self-doubt, or defensiveness signals that he is closed, distracted, or unavailable. These interactions are far more about presence than performance, far more about emotional alignment than physical attraction. The psychology of these moments is fascinating. Women are evaluating not just what you say, but how you respond under subtle pressure. Are you attuned? Can you stay present in the spark of attention without retreating? Can you accept interest and curiosity without overthinking or needing to perform? When answered correctly, these moments create what psychologists call a safe emotional container. She feels seen, validated, and open to exploring connection. This is why something as simple as, "Are you always this charming?" or "Would you ever date someone like me?" can shift an entire dynamic. It is a quiet litmus test of emotional intelligence, presence, and readiness for authentic adult connection.